So in 2012, Versace came out with Versace Eros Eau de Toilette, named after the Greek god of love. Here we are 8 years later, and we have Versace Eros Eau de Parfum. This is said to be the stronger, richer, reimagined version of the original. I'm excited to tell you my thoughts, so make sure to stay tuned. Before I begin my fragrance review of Versace Eros Eau de Parfum, I do want to mention that if you are a fan of fragrance-related content, if you like fragrance reviews here on YouTube, but also top 10 lists, giveaways, unboxings, and pretty much anything having to do with fragrances, please do consider supporting this channel by subscribing to it. All you have to do is click on that red button in the corner, and of course, while you're at it, please be sure to enable notifications by clicking on the bell. This way, whenever I do upload these videos, they will get delivered straight to your feed. I should also mention that there's going to be a giveaway attached to this video for a 10 milliliter decant. All you have to do is leave a comment down below and let me know, what is your favorite Versace fragrance if you have one? Is it Versace Eros? Is it Eros Flame? Is it Versace Pour Homme, The Dreamer, so on and so forth? And also please be sure to tune back into this video in 1 week's time to see if you've won, because I will be pinning the winning comment to the top of the comment thread. So here we have it, the brand new Versace Eros Eau de Parfum. I actually purchased my bottle from Dillard's quite some time ago. I saw that it was available on Dillard's. A very special thank you to my good friend Chris for letting me know about it, and I made sure to do the expedited shipping option. I paid an extra $30 so that I can have it as soon as possible, so that I could spend as much time with it as possible and deliver this video to my loyal subscribers. I also made sure to do a comparison between the Eau de Toilette, so I know just how different it is from the Eau de Toilette. So in other words, if you are a consumer and you're not quite sure which one to purchase, the Eau de Toilette or the Eau de Parfum, I'm going to be letting you know what I think. And of course, I also have Versace Eros Flame, which I've done a video on in the past as well. Now, the 2012 was composed by perfumer Aurélien Guichard, and here with the Eau de Parfum version, we are set to have a contrast between hot and cold, because when we're experiencing love and romance, we have both hot and cooling sensations, and this one has the cooling sensations in the form of course, mint and geranium, but then the warmth is brought about by notes of vanilla, tonka bean, but also some heavier woods in the base like cedar wood. We also have vetiver, this leather accord, as well as patchouli. I'm excited to give you my thoughts on this fragrance, but let's go ahead and start things off with the presentation. So in comparison to the Eau de Toilette, you can see that the Eau de Parfum has the Greek key on the perimeter in gold. Your serial number is printed on the bottom of the box in black ink. The concentration and ingredients are written on the back, and you have Versace written into the top. Now, the bottle for the Eau de Parfum is exactly the same as the Eau de Toilette, with the exception that it says Eau de Parfum here on the front. You also have the Medusa logo into the cap. The cap for this fragrance clicks in very securely. You can pick this one up from the cap. And the distribution on the atomizer is very wide. Let's continue with the smell. So in the opening of this fragrance, it's going to open up very sweet. So it opens up with that candied apple, vanilla, tonka bean thing that you also have going on in the Eau de Toilette. So the sweetness is going to greet you, but it's not going to overwhelm you. I don't think it's a sugary sweetness in the way that a lot of other mass-marketed designer men's fragrances have a tendency of being overly sweet or sickeningly sweet. So this one is just enough sweetness, the right amount of sweetness, so as to not overwhelm you or overburden you. Once that sweetness starts to settle down, it doesn't fully go away, and it's actually complemented by this mint and geranium combination. Now, once that sweet, fruity, vanillic, tonka bean, and minty thing starts to settle down, you will get those woodsy facets in the base that start to bring themselves up and start to elevate themselves. Now, in terms of it being a vetiver scent, I don't get a lot of vetiver from this. As a matter of fact, I feel like I get more cedarwood and patchouli than anything else. And I say that because in my experience, vetiver has a very specific smell. It can either be very dark and rooty, or it can be very fresh, clean, and soapy, and I get neither from this fragrance. As a matter of fact, I do get this very subtle green accent in the base that's coming from that patchouli, I believe, but I think it's also complemented quite well with that cedarwood note. Now, if you take a look at the note breakdown for the Eau de Toilette version, it has cedarwood from Atlas and also cedarwood from Virginia. So I would imagine that they're not going to completely do away with that. Instead, they're going to transfer it over to the Eau de Parfum version, and that's precisely what I'm getting from this. I am getting a woodsy base, I'm not getting any vetiver to speak of, and I'm getting a little bit of an earthy undercurrent. Now, in terms of it bearing this leathery component, all of the times that I have applied it on skin and the several days that I have spent putting it on my skin, I can't seem to pick up on anything leathery from this fragrance. As a matter of fact, if you're looking for a designer level leather fragrance, I would always recommend that you go with Ombre Leather by Tom Ford, Black by Bulgari. There are many other leather options on the market that I wouldn't find myself recommending Versace Eros Eau De Parfum as being a leather dominant fragrance, but you are going to get that fruity opening, that sweet opening with the vanilla and the tonka bean. You are going to get that minty presence as well, and I would imagine that that's what sort of conveys that coolness or that freshness, and of course the vanilla conveys the warmth, and I like that it has those woodsy nuances to sort of ground the fragrance. Now, to be honest with you, I think that this one is a little bit more mature than the Eau de Toilette. So the Eau de Toilette is this club goer, young, vibrant, convivial. He or she is in a good mood. They get to the club. They're eager to dance with as many people as possible. This is the older brother who is not afraid to just take a back seat, you know, sit at the bar for a couple, you know, drinks or whatever, and he doesn't necessarily need to be on the dance floor the whole time, right? He can take a back seat, he can have a few drinks, he can enjoy a slightly different atmosphere, yet one that is encompassed in the same room. That's the kind of vibe that I get from this fragrance, but I also have to be honest with you in saying that in terms of the contrast between the Eau de Toilette and the Eau de Parfum, I don't find there to be much contrast between the two. And what I mean in regards to that is we've seen many other designer brands that have put out their stronger versions in the form of an Eau de Parfum or a Parfum version. So we have Eau de Toilette's Eau de Parfum and Parfum of Dior Sauvage. We have the same thing going on for Bleu de Chanel. More recently, we have it also going on for fragrances like Spice Bomb Night Vision by Viktor and Rolf. We had the Eau de Toilette, now we have an Eau de Parfum. That's exactly the route that Versace Eros is going down at the moment. And I find that with all of those other fragrances, I can easily distinguish the difference between the Eau de Toilette, the Eau de Parfum, and subsequently the Pure Parfum. In the case of this one, I find it to be quite similar to the Eau de Toilette. And I would say there's only probably about a 10 to 20% difference between the Eau de Toilette and the Eau de Parfum. So if you're looking for something more significant than that, I'm afraid that you're probably not going to find it here. But nevertheless, if you are looking for something that's a little bit richer, something that's a little bit more on the woodsy side with that emphasis of patchouli, but also something that will probably give you an extra hour or two of longevity, definitely check this out, especially if you're new to the Eros collection. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. So first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, it's always difficult to gauge the uniqueness of a fragrance, especially when it's a flanker of an existing fragrance. But in the case of Versace Eros Eau de Parfum, I find it to be just a tad bit unique because, like I said, there's only about a 10 to 20% difference from the Eau de Toilette. So in this case, I don't think it's totally unique, but you will see a mild difference between the weaker concentration and now subsequently the stronger concentration. But in terms of the overall smell, great fragrance. It is the type of fragrance that you will be complimented on. It has this mass appeal factor about it. You're not going to offend anybody, and you will just generally smell very good and pleasant around other people. In terms of the longevity, expect about 8 hours on your skin. That's what I got on my skin all the times that I have tested it. In terms of the projection, you will expect about 2 hours of radiation within an arm's length. It doesn't really radiate beyond an arm's length, but it does start to sit closer to the skin around that 6.5 to 7 hour mark, and that's when it kind of becomes a skin scent, and the smell on me was a bit on the imperceptible side. In terms of the versatility, I find this one to be quite versatile. I've thought that the original was really good for the spring, the summer, and of course you can pull it off in the fall as well. This one you can definitely wear in the fall, and you can also get away with wearing it in the winter as long as it's not super cold outside. I think that this one can be worn casually as well as dressed up. I feel like it gives you enough of a presence where if you are wearing a suit and tie, this would make for a really nice olfactory accessory and a really nice complement to that wardrobe. And I think that this one is also a little bit more mature smelling. So if you were originally an early college student while wearing this fragrance, now you can graduate to the Eau De Parfum, which is the one that I have here in front of me. And I do think that it has a level of maturity that is perhaps lacking in the Eau de Toilette. But again, don't expect a huge difference. In terms of the presentation, I actually really like the box presentation. That's essentially the only thing that has changed except for the wording here on the front of the bottle. So my final verdict on this fragrance is, if you like the original, the Eau de Toilette of Versace Eros, I find it hard to believe that you won't like the Eau de Parfum version. I don't think there's much of a difference between the two, and I know a lot of people speak about reformulations when it comes to the Eau de Toilette. So if you are a newcomer to the Eros lineup, I would suggest checking out the Eau de Parfum before you check out the Eau de Toilette, because you're likely to get something a bit stronger and richer and just a tad bit more mature with the Eau de Parfum. But in terms of the overall smell, it's a very pleasant fragrance. It's one that'll get you noticed, and it's also one that will land you a few compliments. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. That was my review of the brand new Versace Eros Eau de Parfum. If you own or have tried this fragrance, please do go ahead and let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. Also, please don't forget to leave a comment down below, of course, if you would like to enter to win a 10 milliliter decant, and I will be selecting the winner in 1 week's time. So please make sure to come back to this video in 1 week to see if you've won, because I will be pinning the winner's comment to the top of the comment thread. Thanks again for watching. I love you all. We'll see you next time.